Okay, with the wheel created with the spokes, what we need to do now is extend this a bit, kind of extrude it. So what I'm going to do is go to polygon mode, and I'm just going to simply run my mouse over the center area where the spokes live, kind of like that. But I want to make sure I get these center guys too, just in case. And we can see right up here in my perspective view that those are now selected, those polygons. Now, if I used a simple extrude, and I'm just going to do it to show you what it would look like, it kind of gets a little goofy. It can work. I'm not saying that you should not use extrude, but because part of the object's already bent and extruded a bit, it gives you a little weirdness right in here. We could go in and flip those and it might work, but I want to show you another technique, and that's using something called smooth shift. It's right down here. The reason I use smooth shift is it's similar to bevel in that it multiplies the selected polygon, but instead of working with a polygon on an individual basis like a bevel does, smooth shift actually brings them all together. So watch, I've got smooth shift selected, and now I can actually just pull it forward a bit. And you see how everything kind of stays connected? I don't get those holes like I did with extrude, but it's a little thick. So with that, I can go to modify, select size, and then I can actually just size that down a bit too if I wanted. Just a little bit. And I might press F2 to center it, just in case, because when you're working with circular objects, you want to continually center around the main pivot. So that looks pretty good, so I'm going to turn off size, and I can click in a little blank area here, see right where my mouse is, to deselect those, and hit S to save. And when I hit S to save, the little asterisk that was right here went away. That means no changes have been made, and I'm good to go. Okay, so there's a nice little spoked wheel. Very simple, but you can obviously use that technique and take it much further, make it more intricate. You can do simple things like this. If I just went in between each little spoke, not that one there, that one, and I just press B for bevel, now I can actually bevel those in a bit and create some more intricate designs. You can cut holes, you can stencil letters, all kinds of options. All right, so just a simple bevel. Now, one thing I want to show you is if I press the O for options, okay, I have my general options set up as 6 for the patch divisions and the maximum undo of 128. Why you would set this less, couldn't even tell you. Maybe for memory management, but if your memory's that low, you might want to consider upgrading. So keep that at the maximum. Patch division set to 6. That's how many times this subpatch is going to be subdivided. If I set this to 2, for example, clicked OK, and turned my tab key on and off there, you see that when I hit the tab key, I go to subpatch mode, but it doesn't really seem like it's doing a whole lot right there. It's just still kind of stiff and chunky around the sides. All right, that's the patch divisions. That is how much subdivision will be applied. Frankly, I can bump it up to 8 for this one, and I'll turn tab on and off again. Let's see if that took. Yeah, it did. Might even want to go a little bit higher, but it's pretty good for now. So I'm going to press the A key, which fits that to view. Press S to save, and Shift S. I'm going to save it as a new object because I'm going to make some changes to the model, and I don't want to lose what I've already done. All right, so I'm going to come around here, and now what I'm going to do is going to be a little bit trickier, but it'll help give this wheel some depth. And what I want to do is select these outer edge points. Okay, so I'm going to take this right bottom view and press the O on my numeric keyboard. Press the tab key to turn off subpatch. You don't always have to leave that on. And I'm going to just select these outer points. But in looking at this, it actually looks a little bit tough to see that one edge. So I'm going to make my perspective view a full screen. And the way I'm doing that, again, is I'm moving my mouse to the view I want, and I'm pressing O, or 0, I should say, on my numeric keypad. If you're on a laptop, hit your function key, hold your function key and press 0, because generally within your keypad on your laptop, there are numeric keys, unless you have an external hooked up. So now with point selected, I'm going to simply just go like this. This makes it a little bit easier to select these. And that's the beauty of Lightwave, is that you have options for selection. And then I'm going to, this little guy up here in the corner, click and hold, and I can rotate the view. Press the Shift key, and then I can click to continue selection. And it's important that I select in order. Now I could have planned for it this way, but I thought it would be kind of nice to show you some selection methods, because it's very important that you understand how selection works. Okay, move back out to a quad view. Now, just in case I need to select these again, I'm going to use a feature in Lightwave that lets me name these points. So if I go up under, I think, display, and then grouping, point selection sets. I'll select that, and I'll say this is outer wheel edge. And I'll say OK. If I ever need to get those points selected again, I can simply press W for statistics, and there's my selection. So watch, I'll deselect. Statistics is up. There are no points selected. You can see down here in the bottom left, selection is 0. But look, here's selection set. I can say plus, and those points are now selected. Okay. Now I can go to multiply and click extender and press the T key for move, and I can move those out. I've actually just multiplied those points and extended them out. Okay, now I don't want to go out that far. I was just showing you how far out we could go, but I'll move them out a little bit. I'm going to press Shift H for size, which is under the modify panel, modify tab, and I'm going to size these down a bit. I'm going to use extender again. Press T to, whoops, I keep pressing, what I'm pressing there is the R key. The E and R will do an automatic 90-degree rotate. And it's a cool feature, but I just don't want to do that right now. And I'll move these out. And Shift H to size them down a bit. And then I'm going to use extender again. Press T to move, and I'll move it about, I guess about there is good. All right, click a blank area to deselect. And what happened there is that some of my polygons look like they're not there, but they are. If you actually look inside, you can see that they're facing inward. Okay, the surface normal flipped inward. I can select them manually and flip them back, but I think a better way to do it is go up to detail, and I'll select a line, and it tells me 15 polygons are flipped. And look at that, there they are. What I basically did with a line is that Lightwave looks at that and says, oh, majority of polygons are facing outward. You got a few that are going in. I'll flip them for you. And even if it took the opposite, if it flipped all of the outside ones and flipped them in, as long as they're facing the right direction, you're in good shape, because you can simply just press F to flip them back. So now let's press the Tab key, and now I can see I've got a rim. Now I've got the inner rim for the tire. Okay, so from this point, hit S to save, Shift S, give it another name, just number 5. And the reason I use numbers is that as I'm working along, all I have to do is say, well, what am I at? 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, whatever the highest number is, that is my current object. I know people that have saved version 1, version 2, version 6A, 6AB, 6AB final. And basically, you don't know what the final version is. So, all right, now what I'm going to do is press T, and I'm going to move this whole object forward a bit. And I want to line up these points right on that 0 axis. That's that dark line. But just to make sure, I'm going to go to point mode, and with the right mouse, I'm going to lasso around and let go and select those points. Then, under detail, there is the set value command, Control V. Set value of those selected points on the Z. This is where they are. See, positive Z, negative Z, this way, and I want them on that 0 axis. So I click Z, 0, and they probably didn't move too much, but I know that they did because the computer is more precise than me. I'll deselect those. I'll go to multiply, select a mirror, And I'm not even going to click it. All I'm going to do is press N for numeric. The reason being is that mirror automatically defaults to 0. So I'll press the Z axis, hit escape, and see how my cursor, or I guess my selection, is within one of these values. I'm going to press escape, and that ends my selection within the cursor, so I don't accidentally put a number or a keystroke in there. Close the numeric and turn off mirror, and now I have my wheel rim perfectly mirrored. The reason I put all those points on 0 and then hit mirror to 0 them is because now I know that there's no duplicates. Otherwise, I'd have a seam right down the middle, which overall probably wouldn't be so bad because we're going to have a tire on there, and it would be covered up, so not a big deal, but it's not the proper way to do it. So again, I'll hit S to save. The last thing I want to do is create somewhat of an interior spoke. I'm not going to worry about building brakes and everything inside there right now. But maybe I should just, instead of a spoke, maybe I'll just build another, I'll put a little disc inside there. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone to a second layer, made my first layer background by clicking beneath that slash. Under Create tab, select Disk, and I'm just going to create an interior disc, oh, probably about that big. Give it some depth by clicking in the top view. Okay, and before I finish, I'm going to press N for numeric, and I'm going to up the sides to say 30, and then close the panel and turn off the tool. Press F2 to center, and now that's an interior disc area that we can add for extra reflections. All right, so now with that built, I'm going to add some surface names. So under Detail, I'm going to press the Surface button. This is different than the Surface Editor. What this Surface button does is assign a surface name to selected polygons. Nothing is selected here, so whatever I do is going to apply to all of it. So this will be Inner Wheel. And I'll give it a little bit of a color just so I know that it was applied. Okay, and back in layer 1, I'm simply going to press the Q, which is a shortcut for surface, and we'll call this outer wheel. We can even call it rim. And I'll make it just a little bit different color so I know the surface is applied. And again, don't worry about the color. The color I'm putting on is simply an identifier. We're going to probably change the color a bit later in layout with the surface editor. And back in layer 2, I'm going to actually press X to cut, go back to layer 1, and press V to paste so that that center area is pasted inside there. And I'll hit S to save. Okay, now all we need to do is build the tire.